Hey guys, this is Martin from martinmixing.com. Welcome to today's video. There were a few questions in a Facebook group that I thought would be very interesting to look at. I think there are a few misconceptions and misunderstanding regarding certain tools, so I wanted to clarify them in today's video. Let's do it. So there was question number 1 regarding MS, EQ and compression. Personally, I don't ever use these tools unless I am mastering and I have no access to the individual elements in the center or the sides. What MS, EQs and compressors do are manipulating the phase of your audio so that a very complex algorithm can somehow gain access to elements on the sides or the center of the mix. Now, any form of phase manipulation is very detrimental to your audio. This is not something you should just casually do, like applying an EQ or compression or even reverb or anything else. This can have a very bad effect on your sound because it changes the most fundamental, the integrity of your sound by manipulating the phase of your audio. So personally, I never use these tools, and honestly, I don't see any reason to do it. Again, unless you are mastering and you have no choice but to use an MS EQ to, let's say, reduce the harshness of the guitars that are clearly panned to the sides. So there, of course, it's okay, but in a mixing context, I would never ever use them. Why? Because we have access to all the individual elements in the mix usually. MS compression, to me, it's the same thing. I don't see why I would use something that changes and manipulates the phase of your audio and has, on top of not just tonal controls, it has attack, release, ratio, threshold controls. So in my opinion, these tools, if not used, not just properly, but with an extremely in-depth understanding of what they really do, and not just on the control surface, on the graphic user interface, but really in-depth what's happening behind the algorithms, it can completely destroy your audio and lead to mixes that are, that don't have integrity, that are not phase coherent, that are squashed, EQ'd in a bad way, or whatever else, So personally, I stay away from these tools. I do own a lot of these kind of tools, and if you just own, the FabFilter products, you have all of these in one interface usually. But, just because you have something doesn't mean you should use it. If you have sugar in your kitchen, but you're making a spaghetti bolognese, you wouldn't want to put sugar in your spaghetti bolognese. I mean, I'm not Italian, but I wouldn't want to do that. So as a summary, I would say MS EQ, yes, if I'm mastering. Why not? A little bit, maybe harshness on the guitars on the sides or harshness on the vocals in the center. It can be very useful to notch out these tiny little frequencies. Or if you have a good EQ like the FabFilter one, the Brainworks one, or some others, you can even do broad boosts. It's okay, but that's where the fun stops, in my opinion. With MS compression, that's something I would definitely stay away from unless you really understand everything about compression and MS processing itself. There's a lot of information on MS processing. Definitely read up on it if you have doubts in how this works. And also if you have any doubts about how compression works and what compression does, then do not take the step and start using MS compression. If you cannot go down a skiing slope level 1, then don't jump into skiing slope level 5 or diamond or black diamond or whatever it's called. You're gonna break your neck, or here you're gonna ruin your mix. My opinion. Question number 2, which I found very interesting, relating to automating mix bus compression. And the broader comment was, I was thinking more automation of the threshold to tackle different parts of the song rather than specific frequencies. Is that common best practice? Or should I really be gain staging every part to be equal? So personally, I think there are, again, a few little misconceptions here and there. Let me take this step by step. Number 1, automating mix bus compression. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with that. That said, it's not something I would do because it's a one step too much that I don't think is necessary. If your mix is good, you shouldn't need mix bus compression or just 1 dB here and there for a little bit of consistency. But If you think you have to automate something on your mix bus to make your mix sound good, then it's more likely that you have to go back into the mix and fix things there and not rely on the mix bus to fix something that you have not done properly before. This is my opinion. That said, there are a few engineers who do similar things. Manny Marroquin has been famously said to actually not automate mix bus compression, but to use different mix bus compressors to benefit from their different characters in different parts of the song. So he would maybe use something from Neve on the chorus, SSL on the verse, or vice versa. I don't know. Now this, I think, is a little bit overkill, but then who am I to argue Manny Marroquin? He has more Grammys than I have, I don't know, spoons in my kitchen. So maybe this is something to consider. You know that my philosophy regarding compression is to use as little as possible. I don't like to rely on these tools to fix something, but why not? It can be a cool thing. Regarding automating mix bus compression, that's, I think, a different topic. In my opinion, the mix bus compressor's role is to add a little bit more evenness to the mix. And this is not even necessarily regarding making everything sound the same volume. That would be extremely boring and really, really detrimental to the emotion in your mix. If you listen to Babel from Mumford & Sons, the dynamics of that album are insane. And I'm sure they're using mix bus compressors, but they didn't try to make everything sound the same and equal and level. That's not the purpose of mixing, you know? So personally, I would not automate the threshold of my mix bus compressor, and I can tell you why. If the goal of master bus compression is to add a little bit of glue to the mix as a whole, then automating the threshold to be lower in quieter parts of the song, thereby applying more compression on the quiet parts of the song, will make the quiet parts even quieter, and then the loud parts also quieter with a different threshold. So instead of evening out the two a little bit, you just make the whole thing quieter. So the mix bus compressor has basically lost its purpose, in my opinion. There's also no, right or wrong amount of mix bus compression. So you guys know I use 2, maximum 3 dB of master bus compression, and it's not because this is a number, a magic number. It's because I am mixing first and then I apply master bus compression. I don't like the master bus compressor messing up everything that I've done before. I use it only to make the low end a little bit more consistent. The SSL style bus compressors are really good for that. They just kind of apply a little bit of glue, a little bit of coherentness, but it's not something I rely on exclusively. This is a minuscule, tiny little thing. It will not change or fix your mix. If the glue, if the consistency is not in your mix, the master bus compressor will not fix it, or it will not create this. And now there was something else that I noticed in this comment was, should I really be gain staging every part to be equal? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, I never gain stage. Gain staging is something that is being sold to us. So we have a sort of a recipe in mixing, but mixing has no recipe. There's no step-by-step process in how to get from raw tracks to a perfect mix. It's a circular process. You do something here, then you go back to fix something somewhere else. Then you go here, then it's quiet there, and then you adjust and compensate and blah, 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 blah. If you are the kind of mixer like Michael Brower, for instance, who uses a highly complicated and highly in-depth system of different buses, both parallel and serial, then yes, he absolutely has to gain stage, because every piece of equipment in his studio is calibrated to work best at a certain level, at a certain voltage, to be precise, that goes into these compressors, buses, etc. But most of us are not these kind of mixers, and we shouldn't even try to be, because it's such an extremely complicated and complex process that it will take years to develop. Like he admitted himself, Michael Brower said it took him a lot of time to develop this, and he is one of these method mixers. People send him tracks because he does this, and this is all he does. So, it's great to be a one-trick, I don't want to say one-trick pony, but to be known for doing something, one thing, and doing it really well, and getting a lot of work, for that. So that's great. But most of us will have to be a bit more versatile, because we'll be working with different genres, different music, different emotions, etc., etc. So don't get too hung up on gain staging and all of these buzzwords in other YouTube videos and tutorials and whatnot. You don't have to gain stage. If you see that a recording is too quiet, you know, like in one of the mixes I did recently, the hi-hat was too quiet. Yes, I compensated for it a little bit, so I don't have to put my volume fader up to +6, you know. And you know, if something is a bit too loud, I might compensate for that, but I don't go through everything track by track. It's like, okay, everything has to be perfectly equal at some imaginary number at -10 or whatever. If you're lucky enough to work with good recordings, then the mix will essentially be already gain stage when you receive the files, because a good recording engineer in the studio will set the gains of the preamps in a way so that the recorded files, you know, have a certain level that is quite consistent usually. And just in case this comment meant gain staging individual parts of the song, no, absolutely not, absolutely not. The chorus should be a bit louder, the verse should be a bit quieter, the middle eight should be a bit sparser or narrower even, or whatever. So we need these fluctuations in level to evoke emotion or a response in the person listening to the song. You know, if it's like, if you want perfection, then delete every tracks, put in a 432 Hz sine wave instead, make it 4 minutes long, export it, and that's it, you have perfection. It will be perfectly even, it will be perfectly consistent, but that's not what we want, because it does not evoke any emotion in the listener. So we do want dynamics, we definitely do not want flatlining anything, we definitely don't want to control every little bit of our audio. I think there was another comment regarding trying to add multiband compression on the master bus. No, why would you want to do that? Fix it in the mix. If your bass is becoming too loud here, then automate it or use multiband compression on the bass guitar. But don't use these tools on your whole mix. I mean, these are extreme. Again, if you don't understand compression perfectly, then stay away from multiband compression in the first place. That's my opinion. And then once you understand multiband compression, you will know why you shouldn't use it on your master bus. You know, that's my opinion. Of course, there are a few in EDM. It's very popular to have like an extremely punchy and clear sound, but you can achieve that without multiband compression. Because again, multiband compression uses filters to separate your music into different bands. Filters are not perfect things. They will cause harm, you know. And then if you don't understand attack, release, threshold, ratio, then you will do even more harm, not just to your individual tracks, but now, you know, to your song as a whole, to the individual frequency ranges, in my opinion. I never use multiband compression on my master bus. I don't see a reason why. If I think that an element is sticking out too much, then I will just go back to the mix. Now, if I'm mastering, that's a different story. If I don't have access to the individual tracks, I might use a multiband compressor to tame the one bass note that is sticking out. And then I will use only one band, maybe, of the multiband compressor, I don't know, 200 Hertz and below, and when that one bass note hits, I set the threshold so that one bass note will get massaged. Or if there is a consistent harshness in the mix, I might use only the high-mid band of this multiband compressor to tame that a little bit throughout the song, or maybe in that one section where this occurs. But yes, be really subtle with these, be really careful with these, because filters, phase manipulation stuff, all of these are horrible things to do to your audio. You know, they have a lot of side effects which build up, and you might not notice immediately, but you will notice eventually. Yeah, so to sum it up, I think the ultimate message here is fix things at the source and not later on. You know, I think that's a really good philosophy in mixing. And don't overcomplicate things for yourself. I stick to simple tools and uncomplicated workflows because it's something that I can repeat consistently. It's something that I can do in every mix. It makes revisions easier. It makes communication easier. You know, it just makes life easier in general to stick to basic things that really work. I do love martial arts. I watch a lot of kickboxing, Thai boxing, etc. And even though there are a lot of really complicated techniques and spinning kicks and everything that you can use in martial arts, in kickboxing, most fights are actually won by a jab or a hook, like a 1-2. So again, simple things, they work. It's just about doing these simple things right and at the right time. So I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any more questions. If you want to clarify things more, we can hop on a chat. Feel free to contact me on martinmixing.com or in the Facebook group Mixing with Martin. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to comment and ask me something there. Hit up that like button, please subscribe, it really helps me to get more exposure and to get this message out even more. Yes, I will be seeing you in the next video. Until then, happy mixing, take it easy, bye bye.